Hello PC, I'm back with you for another vinyl spins. So, the first thing I'm going to show you today I was really quite excited about. It came in last week. Some folks in Germany were lucky because they got it a couple weeks early. But I was excited to get it earlier last week and I've been playing it ever since. And let me bring it out so we can talk about it. So, this is Kruder and Dorfmeister, the K&D sessions. So if you're into house dub, this is probably an album you definitely want to check out. To me, it's essential. The album was originally released in 1998, both on CD and also LP at the time. I happened to pick up the CD version at the time and fell in love with it, and I was very happy to see that they reissued it on vinyl, because I missed out. And I wasn't even into vinyl at the time. But what makes this reissue so spectacular is the labor of love that went into it. So this is an audiophiles pressing, which I never expected to see from this album. So this was mastered by Bernie Grunman and pressed at Pallas in Germany on 188 gram vinyl. It's a 5 LP set. And it comes in a gatefold. Oops. And if you haven't heard this before, even if you're not a fan of dub or house music, you may want to give this one just a sample of a few tracks. It just flows incredibly well over 2 discs, and it was really well acclaimed. Some folks considered it one of the best albums of 1998. I'd have to agree. It's, for the most part, a remix album, and some people think remix and like, okay, so you're just changing up some of the drums, extracting some of the vocals, or adding some guitar parts or whatever, make it danceable a little bit. But that's not the case. This is like, I hate to call it a remix because it's almost an original piece of work. You're just stealing little samples of songs, but there's acoustic parts to this. There's, I've told folks before, I'm not the biggest hip hop fan in the world, and there are some hip hop songs, but only a couple. Of course, there's electronic, but it's just so smooth and something to play late at night and just to wind down. I think our friend Armin of Audiophile Law said, hey, it's a perfect after party album, and I'd have to agree. So the other nice thing about this particular album that just kind of blew my mind was that it came with a 24-bit download code, and on a WAV file no less. So it's going to be a pretty big file, but 24-bit, what does that mean? So for the folks that don't understand bit depth, so your CD, your standard CD, the word length on a CD, one little frame of information, uses 16 bits to describe that part of the WAV file. And think of it, so 24-bit, you got a longer word length. So what that translates to is better dynamic range, so improved accuracy of that bit of the WAV file that you're hearing. So it just translates to a better product, and a lot of the high definition digital recording is moving to 24-bit. So this thing is just incredible. I can't recommend it enough, and I'll try and include a couple of samples down below, or links to places where you can hear some of the music. Again, I can't recommend it enough. Just really, really nice. So I've been on a little bit of a jazz kick again, and one of the albums that I've been spinning I would consider essential jazz, and definitely essential Sonny Rollins. So this is what some people would say would be Sonny Rollins' best album, and I'd have to agree. This is Saxophone Colossus, which was issued on Prestige in 1957. It features Tommy Flanagan, Doug Watkins on bass, and also Max Roach on drums. And Max Roach's drums on here are just incredible. So the track to listen to here, I'll include a link below, is St. Thomas. If there's an essential jazz song that should make it on any top compilation, St. Thomas should be here. So this just happens to be the Analog Productions release of this. Good clean copies of this just go for an extraordinary sum. So, you know, if you can get this on CD, if you can get this on like a original Jazz Classics pressing, then go for it. This one was mastered by Kevin Gray, and Analog Productions really does a good job with trying to reproduce the original Prestige label. So even if you're just a casual jazz fan, definitely give this one a listen. I'm hoping that would turn some people on to a few more jazz things. I mean, I didn't really know of this album until, you know, I really started to dive deep and I got into Sonny Rollins, and yeah, I find that to be his best work. So, getting on a little bit of a drum kick, listening to Max Roach, I pulled this guy off the shelf, and this is the soundtrack to Man of Steel. So I'm going to be quite honest here, I have never seen the movie, and it was actually one of my employees that kind of turned me on to this. So he really recommended it. I don't think it's personally Hans Zimmer's best work, but what makes this album so extraordinary, talking about drumming, I don't know if you can see the shot of that. So there are a couple of tracks on here where they are using 9 different drummers, and there's a pretty cool video out on YouTube, and a couple of the drummers that play, or a few of the drummers that play on this, are pretty well known to people. So Jason Bonham, John Bonham's son from Led Zeppelin, he plays in the drum orchestra. Pharrell Williams of the song Happy from Despicable Me, and also his work with Daft Punk. Yeah, he's drumming on this. Sheila E.'s another one. The drummer from Tool is also on this. So again, not the greatest piece of work by Hans Zimmer, and even he admitted that, but definitely worth checking out. So I got onto another ambient kick too. I wanted to relax a little. So I mentioned in a previous video that I really like Michael Stearns, and so I pulled out one of his earlier works, which is Planetary Unfolding, and he first issued this on his own label, which is the Continuum Montage label, back in 1981. And when his label folded, it was later re-released. And I'm trying to remember who re-released it. I think it was Sonic Atmospheres with a totally different cover. To me, Michael Stearns' essential ambient. Another reason why I elected to pull this off the shelf was because I was doing some searching through YouTube, and I just found a link to an Ambient concert that he happened to play 2 year ago, and it was the first time he had played live in front of an audience in 10 years, which he admits to the crowd at the beginning. And I really miss the guy because he's only done some commercial work which hasn't been released officially on CD the past few years. He did the soundtrack to Samsara, which I was happy to get a copy of, but really I wish he would do more stuff, because if you're an ambient, I consider him essential. So next up is it's also in the vein of ambient, but also kind of synth pop. This is Fort Romeo, which is the one of the newer releases from Ghostly International, which does ambient electronic, synth pop, a little bit of rock stuff. And this is really good, so if you're into 80s synth pop with kind of an ambient twist, then definitely check out for Romeo. So I'll include some links to this guy as well, if I can find any links to some songs. And I think the last thing I have to show you today is I don't know if it's a first release, but it's been a reissue because they hit the 20th anniversary of this album. So to me, there's really two essential Dave Matthews Bands, and this is Matthews Band albums in my opinion. And this is one of them. The other one is Crash, which followed up this release. Sonny did this on 180 gram vinyl. Came with a nice download code. Also came with a very nice booklet. And it was mastered by Chris Bellman. And they numbered it, and so it's like in the 13,000. At least my number is, which means it's, I don't know if it's going to go up in value, but still nice to have. This is where they really broke it commercially with the song "What Would You Say," but there's a few other hits like "Satellite," "Dancing Nancy's," "Ants Marching," which is something that they play live. So if you're really into the jam band scene, I think most people know Dave Matthews, but yeah, if you're into jam bands, then definitely check them out, because they are a jam band at heart, and you ever go see them in concert, no show is going to be the same. They completely mix up their set list. So that's what I have to show you for the most recent vinyl spins. I got another video coming where I'm doing some sound comparisons between two pressings for Dusty Springfield. So if you're interested in hearing that, because I would have included it in this video because I'm afraid they're going to take it down, but I decided to do a separate video on that. So stay tuned for that. That'll be up shortly, I hope, and I hope everybody's doing well. Have a great week, and hopefully I'll see you later.